Numbers also aren't always sunny side up. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to dig deep into not only your favorable numbers, but we're going to talk about your unfavorable numbers right here on Astro-Numerology Reveal. Welcome, everyone. This is Astro-Numerology Reveal, and boy, have I got a treat for you today. I am your host, Kimbaley. Today, we're going to be diving deep into favorable and unfavorable numbers with our fabulous guest, the Queen Bee. But before we get started, let me tell you that this show is brought to you by Astro-Numerologist Lloyd Strayhorn and the Star 8 mobile numerology app. You can go to star 8 ASTAR the number 8.com, Google Play, or the App Store to download this app. This app is wonderful. There are so many features, especially the calendar feature. This calendar feature will help you guide your life, and it's also telling you who you are numerically. So make sure you check out that. Now we're going to get to our guest, Queen Bee. How you doing, Queen? What's going on, fam?
Peace, Queen. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate you so much for this and for the opportunity. And I'm looking so forward to diving into these numbers today.
You know what? We got some tea to spill. Well,
Yes, we do.
correction. The tea has already been spilled. We're just going to numerically clean it up a little bit. We want to see what's going on behind the numbers. But before we even get into that, I want you, for the benefit of the listeners, to tell us a little bit about who you are, Queen.
All right. So my name is Queen B, Queen Teller B. I am the founder and the CEO of Teller B Media, also known as Teller B TV, where Black education empowers true vision. And there I'm known as the cultural preservationist, where we highlight Black excellence, we undercover hidden histories, we empower the community with knowledge and information on what's going on with the community. We give them ways to empower themselves and to, raise the vibration of the community and raise the vibration of the dynamic of how we interact with each other. We founded the Queens and the Kings Up Royalty Rules, which means respect, uplift, love, elevate, empower, support. So we do a lot over at the Cultural Preservation Station. In the Astro-Numerology piece, I've added to really continue my mission with uplifting the community, uplifting the spiritual and the mental vibration of our community, and making sure that we love on each other more and that we give each other grace, and that we understand that there are forces that are going against us in this world that are, out of our control. But what we can control is ourselves and how we deal with each other. And if we do that out of a place of love, respect, uplifting, empowering, and supporting one another, that's what the mission is about. So that's a little bit about my background and who I am. And I'll leave it there unless you want me to go further into the numerology side of things, but I'll let you ask.
That was absolutely perfect.
Thank
You
you.
know, that part, the very first question, that's the hardest question to me. But you just went on and you had a whole flow of what you do. Like, that's amazing. Most people can't
Yeah.
do that. But today you said the word astronumerology, and you know you can't say astronumerology without digging deeper on Astro-Numerology Revealed. I have a question for you, and this
Yes.
question is specifically for you. I want to know, what is your interpretation of numerology?
So I love that question. And honestly, for numerology, to me, numerology is a gift. It's the gift of universal understanding. It's a gift of universal understanding that helps us put some order to the chaos that we think the universe holds. A lot of us don't understand things on a spiritual level. And that's okay. It's not for everybody, but whether we like it or not, these numbers are forces in our lives. So the numbers, like some people often say, they don't care whether you know about them or not. They're still going to operate on their frequency, and they're still going to vibrate on that frequency. So to me, it's a universal gift of understanding to delve into ourselves more, to understand why we go through these ebbs and flows in our life, to understand why certain energies or certain people, days, or times are more favorable to us, where other times it seems like nothing that we do is the right thing. So to me, it provides insights and it brings knowledge, wisdom, and awareness. Understanding to the chaotic world that we live in. So to me, it's an opportunity to operate on our highest vibration possible. Also giving you the tools to navigate through those low vibrational environments, through those times and those periods. And to me, it can offer healing. It offers balance, spiritual, and mental elevation of our community and growth of our personal selves. And it's really the rhyme or the reason. It's the rhyme and the reason to why we're here on this planet.
Wow, that's why I like asking that question in that way because you hear things that you've never heard before. To me, what stuck out to me was when you said numerology is a gift.
Yes.
Wow, that's deep. That's
Mhm.
deep. Thank you for sharing that definition with us. And maybe some people can listen to that definition and kind of vibrate with it because I felt like I vibrated with that message as well. And since you are into numerology, I know that you probably weren't born an astronumerologist. What made you decide to become a numerologist and specifically an astronumerologist?
So I'm a two person, and I'm born on the 20th. And the breakdown of that for me is that number is the awakening. It's the number of justice. So I've always had a inner yearning to know more spiritually, to learn more spiritually. I've always had a natural intuition about things, but I've never been able to hone in on the power of it, and really, control it in a way, or have a way to kind of control or understand it. It would just be really feelings that I would get. Without a way to kind of hone in on why am I getting that feeling and where's it coming from. And so to me, when I learned about astronumerology, um, and I saw the power that it held for that type of result. It really felt like it was the most natural progression for me as an individual based on my last 9 cycles. And I will even put that up to the last 15 years of what I've been doing. So it really was just a culmination for me to be able to use this gift to be able to heal the people around me in ways that I could not do through my platform. So I just, I think it's great, and I think that that's what it is to me, and that's why I wanted to become an astronumerologist. It's why I put the dedication and the hard work in to study it, and to learn it, and do my best to bring forth knowledge and understanding and wisdom to the community, especially for the kids. Just helping people out when they have their kids, and giving them the best vibrations to name them and all that kind of stuff, giving us a head start from birth, giving that next generation that head start with the most favorable, most positive, combinations that we can give them, and then let them have at it.
I heard in that another wonderful description or benefit, actually, of numerology, and you said healing. I like that. I like that. We could all use healing from time to time, and these numbers can heal if you know what you're doing. So, my question to you is you have a favorite thing that you do in numerology, is kind of your thing. I want you to let me know what that concept is that is considered to be one of your favorite concepts and why it's your favorite.
All right, thank you for that question. So poignant. So my favorite concept is looking at your favorable or key numbers and also looking at the opposition number. Looking at those two things, knowing about them, and then using them to your advantage to make your decisions, to help guide you, to help you understand when you may not be going through the greatest of times, to give you that kind of feeling that, hey, might be a low time for me. So let me do these things so I can transmute that energy and maybe neutralize that low vibration or maybe raise it. So that's why I love that part of it. I think it's great to give the key numbers and to give the good times and the angel numbers and make everything positive. But as we know in this world is based on duality. It's based on the two. It's based on the yin and yang, the good and bad, the high, the low, the hot, the cold. And really being a two person, I understand that I think more than a lot of people may, because it's kind of who I am. It's kind of how I've operated in my life. My whole life, I felt that duality. So really the numerologics by two is why, that's why I came up with that name. So we're going to be basically doing data analytics on your numbers, and it's by two, by me, by a two person. We're looking at your dual vibration. So the two has a lot of double, triple, quadruple entendres to it. So it's the two because I'm a two person. It's the two because we're looking at duality. So it really speaks to it. And the basis of what we do here is all in that basic principle of polarity that states that everything is dual, everything has poles, it has a pair of opposites. The like and the unlike are actually the same. The opposites are identical in nature, but on different degrees of expression. And that's where the extremes meet. So this is necessary for balance within our universe. So when we look at that duality, it's understanding both of those things and now you can do shadow work to work on those things that may be the lower part of what you're experiencing. So I hope that answered the question. I probably gave a lot more.
Oh, yes, it did answer the question. It did. And what a lovely breakdown or a lovely reveal of the number two. Wow, that's really deep. And a lot of people don't think about it that way. And polarity is one of my favorite things to talk about. Now I understand more about the number two. Thank you for teaching us that. Moving forward, though, I want to know, let's just say if you get a client and they are in a favorable period or there are favorable periods for them. What do you tell them about their favorable periods? What can they expect during this time and what should they be doing?
So really what they can expect is that the universe is working in their favor. So what I kind of call it, I call it your personal universal code. So those are be your key numbers. And then in that code, you have your individual frequency, which is the main number that you're born on, your birth number. So I say with those things, when those time frames and those periods are the periods that we're in and we're experiencing and they're experiencing those cycles, I tell them these are the times that you take advantage of the positivity of that number. Some numbers are travel numbers, some are career numbers, some are relationship numbers, health numbers, pregnancy cycles, etc. So, depending on who it is and what the numbers are, we will make sure that you know what type of cycle you're in. You know what type of things that you maybe should take advantage of based on what you're looking for. Because everyone's different and everyone's looking for something different. So, and during those times, you should be using your individual frequency and your personal universal code to make all your best plans, make your interviews on those days, take your action on those days, manifest, meditate, do things on those days that you normally would just do at random, and you'll find that the universe will hone in on what you're doing that you're honing in on your own frequency. And if you ever seen those tuning forks, where they play the frequencies, if you're not on the same frequency, it's not even going to hear you. And that's why it's important to learn our individual frequency and our personal universal code, because a lot of us are just operating chaotically in the world, unorderly, not using our personal universal code that the universe has gifted us at birth. And without that, you can find things that, muddle your plans or have little snafus and little things like that. And you're like, man, I planned for this. It was perfect. Why is that happening right now? And it's because you're not tapping into that. So we want to make sure that we are utilizing all of our tools and resources, tapping into those frequencies that are made specifically for us. Our personal universal code, nothing could be more powerful than that. So it's really honing in on them, operating in those vibrations, wearing the colors that are associated with those numbers and those periods, using the crystals to manifest your dreams and manifest anything that you're trying to do or help you cleanse, and just understanding the time frames that you're in and really being in tune to that and doing things on purpose, just like your, manifest on purpose.
Thank you for shouting that out.
Mhm.
But I like what you said about the universal code. That's
Yes, ma'am.
powerful.
Mhm.
Very powerful. So let's just say that someone is not operating according to that personal universal code. Let's just say that things are in their opposition period. It's their opposition time.
Yes.
What can
Yeah.
they expect during that time, and how do they get through it? I know you said shadow work is one thing they could do, but can you enlighten us about that a little more?
Yes, so a part of what we're setting out to do here at Numerologics by Two, is using the opposition times, using things that people might say a opposition or a challenge. And we use those things to kind of, the first thing is to empower you with the knowledge. So you're empowered with it. You know what these numbers are and you know what these times are. And the other thing about the opposition time, what I'll say before I get into the rest of the answer, is like I just stated, everything has duality, everything has a positive and a negative charge. So that's what basically an opposition number is. It's just the opposition number or a stress number to your personal universal code. So, and I'll just take myself for example. I'm born August 20th. I am a fire sign with a water number. That's my and, which is your numeric descriptor. So I'm a fire sign with a water number. So I'm proactive, I'm passionate, I'm a go getter, but I'm also sensitive and emotional. I'm analytical, I'm receptive. So that's my astronumeric descriptor. And then when you look further into your personal universal code, which are your key numbers, my key numbers are the 2, the 7, the 1, and the 4. So there are oppositions that frequencies that those number hold. So my opposition numbers are the 9, the 8, and the 3. So that's the opposition to my key numbers. And all that really means is during those times, these are the times that you may experience those low vibrational periods. We know in life we ebb and flow. It's the law of rhythm, the principle of rhythm. So there's ebb and flows. We go up and down. Normally, I guarantee if we go back and look at some things in the client's past, when they've had down years, it's either guaranteed that they were either in a 7 universal year or personal year, because 7, universal and personal years to me are heightened years for everyone. It's, a year of, like, spiritual and personal growth, or they were in a year that is in opposition to their personal universal code, or in a month that's in opposition to it, or a day that's in opposition to it. So it can be very intricate, and it could be, looked at very several different ways, but we want to key in on it and let you know what those times are. So now you can make the best of those times by, preparing yourself in certain ways to receive those times, and even if you have to tap into that energy of that number, you might have to tap into it. So understanding what the energy of that number is, tap into it in a positive light, in a positive way. And really try to make it work for you to the best of your ability with the knowing that, hey, things might not go as 100%, But when they don't, I'll know why they didn't, and it won't bother me as much as it would if I just went into it without any knowledge of it.
Thank you for that, Queen Bee. You know what I've noticed? I can almost tell for certain if it's a good day, if it's one of my favorable days or not, because I just feel good. I think to myself, like during those times, like, oh, it feels like it's my birthday. I must be in a favorable
Yes.
day. And when I think about what day it is or the date it is, then I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. So I can actually feel the energy when it's expressed. So that's very cool. It further proves to us that these energies do exist and they very much impact us in our life. Now, we gotta get down to the T. We've been waiting on this.
Yes.
We've been waiting on this. Today, when I opened up, there was a quote. Really, they're actually song lyrics, and I'll repeat it. The sun doesn't shine forever, but as long as we're here, we may as well shine together. And everybody knows P. Diddy said that. So
Yes, he did.
today, we're going to get down with these favorable and non favorable numbers. The whole situation that's going down with the P. Diddy trials or that case or whatever, or that mess or debacle or whatever you want to call it. We're going to get down to it today to let you know what numbers are influencing the energy and why. Before we get into that, I just want to say that we are not on anybody's side here.
Mm-mm.
We're just analyzing the numbers.
That's right.
So this
We're
is
we're we're making it we're making them lit with numerologics by 2.
we had to do it. We had to do it. That sounds like something else he said too. You know, we had to do this. But anyway, enough of that. So, can you tell us your research? Because I know you researched this thoroughly, and we can't help it if we watch the news or if we turn on social media, it's everywhere. So it's right
Yes.
there in our face, and that's very tempting for astronumerologists. So let us know what the numbers revealed to you, Melinda.
So first of all, looking at his numbers, they were very interesting, to say the least. Diddy is a very interesting, intricate person. Um, he was born on not September. I'm sorry, got thousand dates in my head. Born on November 4th, 1969. So that makes him a Scorpio 4 person. He is a water sign with an air number. That's his astronumeric description. I call that the and. That means that he is I'm gonna give us a little something extra that I do here, and I give you your personal year factor. So I just want to explain what that is real quick. The personal year factor is what I use to make it easier for people to do the calculations for their personal periods. So their personal month, their personal day, their personal year. So what we do is we take the month that you were born and we add that to the day that you were born, and we come up with whatever number that is. Which for Diddy, his is a 15. So we know that we reduce that to the six. But the reason why we write it as a 15 6, and we make sure that we add that 15 when we're adding to get the personal year factor. You want to do both because if you just add the single digit, you may miss a master number year. So we want to make sure that we're giving it the full energy that it deserves. And so that's what the personal year factor is. So it just makes it really simple for you to calculate people's times and periods because you can keep it in your head. And I also want to say that I feel like the personal year factor also it's a part of your numbers, so it's a part of your code. um it's your month and your day together, so that number is the force, and it's going to be the deciding factor in what your up cycles are. So up cycles here are the universal year and then the personal year. So each of us go through we all go through the universal year, but then we have our personal year. So I call that the up cycle, the universal and the personal cycle. So between those cycles, you can see opposition or you can see favorable, you can see favorable times, you can see some not so favorable times. In those up cycles, and your personal year factor is what determines that. So that energy is definitely important. And I'm going to point out that Diddy, he's a four person, and his personal year factor is a 6, which is in opposition to him. Now that doesn't mean too much. It may not, but I do look at that. So what that tells me is whatever universal year we're in, Diddy's 6 years ahead of that universal year. So it's just a way to kinda look at those up cycles, keep them in mind, and keep that energy in mind as people go through their lives and have these different events affect them, because having that as your opposition year is gonna throw you into opposition up cycles. And we'll see that as we go along, through here. So I'm not sure where you're asking, but I'm gonna continue with the breakdown where I was going. So he's a Scorpio 4 person, he's a water sign with the air number. That means he is emotional, he's receptive, sensitive. He can be overly sensitive. He thinks logically, he likes to think and have the matter of deduction. He probably is a great communicator, probably likes to travel, and all those type of things. So that's his water sign air number. And then he's a life path 22-4. So not only is he a 4 person, but his life path is a 4. So I found that very interesting. So his very vibrational attributes, he's got to take care to see, what he's here to learn and what he's here to do, and make sure that he's vibrating on the highest level of that 4, because if not, there could be some unfavorable times for him, and there could be some unfortunate times for him when it comes to that 4. So we want to make sure that we're looking at that and we're keeping that in mind as we're going through Diddy's numbers. So, his individual frequency, which is his birth number, is a 4. We just stated that. So his key numbers, which I call his universal, personal universal code, are the 4, the 1, and the 9. And, so that would make his key days the Sunday and the Tuesday. Okay. And let's get down here. So we're going to read this about Diddy. So, being born on the 4th of the month, Puff's individual frequency indicates that he's likely to be different in all things that he does. He likes to be different. He's a calm demeanor, disciplined. He can be efficient, useful, and honest. Could be some of his positive attributes. Loyal, orderly, practical, steady, he's stable, organized. He can also tend to be very brutal, critical, crude, moody, dogmatic, dull, destructive, fearful, pessimistic, revengeful, rigid, stern, stubborn, violent, unpredictable, and melancholy. So these are some of the characteristics that come along with his individual frequency of a 4. Now, Miss Kimberly, I know I'm here on your show, but I do know that you are master number 22, which is a 4. So does any of that sound familiar to you?
Yes, some of it does, and
Mhm.
not the bad stuff, though, of course.
Right. Not the
But
bad stuff. Go
some
ahead.
of it does, and I've actually seen that in some of his behaviors over the
Yes.
years in public. And not only that, and I know you're going to get into this, but when I look at one of his key numbers, the 9, the 9 represents the planet Mars, and it talks about aggression. So when you add that aggression with the moodiness of the 4, then that could be some problems. And then with the 22 4, the 22s usually are challenged in life, or the master numbers in general are usually challenged in life. So I'm thinking that this 22 master number year isn't helping him any at all, too.
No, it's not. And I wanted to touch on something that you just said, that with his 9 and the 4, I love what you just said, and I'm gonna expound on that even more. Um, he's born in a negative period of the 9, which means more mental or, spiritual way that you, act out your attributes. as opposed to the positive period of the 9 where it's in a more physical way. So that coupled with that 4 and the moodiness and how 4s are in their head a lot, and how their work is connected to their mood, and they can fall into those moods of despondency. It's even more poignant for Puffy because he's born in that negative period of the 9 in Scorpio, which means that he's mental anyway. He's in his head a lot. He's got that 4 energy, so definitely I think that adds to that. It's definitely so interesting. Definitely interesting.
I think the combination of those numbers can create a monster.
And I think they have, and that's why I like looking at the numbers this way and looking at what your individual frequency, your personal universal code, and your and, like your and, your if. So I'm just going to break this little cool nifty thing down. Um, you know, we're looking at key numbers and opposition numbers. We know from Numerologics by two and the dual nature of them. So what I call them your key ops. So you know what ops are, they're your ops, right? So key ops. So when we do a little thing that says like your and in your if, tell us what your key ops are, right? Your astronumeric description and your individual frequency tells me what your key ops are. If you know your key ops, now you can use them to transmute energy and to heal and to grow and to learn.
That's interesting that you said that. And I have something, but I'm going to hold it until you get to the part where um, you talk about the oppositions of his key numbers. So are you going to touch on that?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent. And I'm sorry. I started reading.
The
I
juice
started
is
reading.
too good. It's too good.
I'm sorry. So yes, so his key numbers, his personal universal code are the 4, the 1, and the 9, and his opposition numbers are the 6, the 8, and the 3. Okay, so that tells me that his best days are a Sunday and a Tuesday. His opposition days are Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Wait, hold on. His opposition days are Friday, Saturday, and Thursday. I have Monday here. Probably was doing something different. And then that tells me that his key periods are like late July going into August, late February going into March, late March going into April, and late October going into November. So his opposition times would be late April going into May, late September going into October, late December going into January, heading right through midway through February, and then late June going into July. So these are times that, he may be feeling heat from things, or he may be seeing some opposition, or, seeing things going on with him where, they're not favorable to him. Another thing that I'll mention about him, that his nickname, let me see. His first name and his nickname, let me see what they add up to. I think his name adds up to a 8, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 44-8. Did you do the name? I think I have Diddy. I have his nicknames. I have like the Diddy and the Puff Daddy. The Puff Daddy's a 44-8. So he probably shouldn't have been using that nickname being that he's a 4 person. Um, so there's a lot of different things that I see through his numbers that are oppositional to him, that would cause him snafus, and it cause him, um, things like of the nature that what he's going through now, just based on some of the numbers that he has running through his chart.
One of the things that stood out to me is that because one of his key numbers is the 9, he has to be careful of the 2.
Yes, I'm
And
sorry. Did I say that? That's why I had Monday, because I think I had the 2 there, but you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I said his opposition numbers were the 6, the 8, and the 3. His opposition numbers are the 6, the 8, and the 2, which is connected to the 7. So, and then that would make his opposition day Monday. So I had the Monday right, but I must have transposed the number. So thank you.
okay, let me tell you what I found, Melinda.
Mhm.
Since you said that,
Mhm.
the opposition number is the 2. The point that I was going to make about that is I always look at those double digits like the 22. We know that's a vibration of the 4, but what numbers make up that 4? And we're looking at two twos. So those two twos are opposition to his number 9. And you said, did you say that oh, and everything that you have, everywhere you see a 2, you have to see a 7 because it's an interchangeable number. He was
Mhm.
born in the year of 25. So he's born in the year of a 7. So that's another opposition right there, too.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. So again, I didn't have that part, but again, that's true. So these are all the things that when we broke him down and you see these things, now you start to get to understand some of the things that he's going through. And not to mention that it's not just your numbers, it's the way it's who you are as a person. It's your environment and how you treat other people, how you were raised and how you treat other people. So we don't want to just because blame everything on what somebody's numbers are. You can have any set of numbers and you can operate in a high vibrational area of those numbers, and then you won't have these type of things maybe going on, or maybe they'll go on to a lesser degree because you're operating in the highest positive aspect of it. When you operate in that lower negative energy, it's just toxic, and it's going to manifest itself wherever it can find an opening to do so.
Thank you. I'm glad you broke that down because that would have been a great question. Like, how do you know whether you're living on the positive pole of your number versus the negative pole? And you just answered that. So thank
Mhm.
you. What else
So
you got?
Oh, I was gonna say, so we can get into some of these dates that he has. So we know, okay, so everyone knows what's going on with Puffy right now. First of all, we're in the 8 universal year. So he's a 4 person, and let's go back and look. 8 is one of his opposition numbers, right? So yep. So we're in 8 universal year. We're actually also in an 8 universal month. So we know just this month alone, even if we don't go back through all of the other 8 federal cases that he has pending against him, another opposition number. I think I don't know if this new thing that they arrested him for, it's not a new case. It's just that he turned himself in for the 8 cases, right? It's not like a new case. So he still has 8 federal cases pending, I think. So anyway, so when we look at that, 8 is a opposition to him. So it's an 8 universal year. So let's see, 8 plus 6 is 14. So that means he's in a 5 personal year, right? Let me make sure I did that right. Let me get my calculator because I want to make sure I did the math right. He's in an 8 personal year plus his 6. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
he's in the
15.
5.
Yep, so he's in a 5. So so that 8 personal year it doesn't surprise me that this is the year that the allegations started for him, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they started at the end of last year where he was going through his preview period for this year. Let me see when Cassie first did her thing. Yep,
It
Cassie,
was
yes. Go
11
ahead.
16 2023 was when she
Right.
first filed. I think
Mhm.
things something else kind of happened last year in November.
Yes. So in November, that's when Cassie filed her thing. She filed it on actually on November 16th, which is a 7. Um, and then they settled it. It looks like 4 days later, Cassie asked the court to dismiss the case without prejudice, which means that they can reopen the case, like it can be refiled. So there goes that 4 again. We know he's a 4, so 4 days after they settled the case, that's when she petitioned the court to ask them, "Let me further down the line, I know I got this settlement, but further down the line, if we need to reopen this against him or we need to refer to this case for anything, it can be referred to." So that's what that means. Um, so that happened last year in November. Now, October is usually the preview year, but it really shows you, and it's really the start of the energy of that new year. So it doesn't surprise me that that stuff started for him kind of in November. That means it was brewing in October, and Cassie probably just got the guts up to go ahead and go through with it by November, you know? Um, so let me just take a look because I have this stuff written down for Cassie and Diddy. Um, so the first case that was filed, Miss Kimberly, the first case that was filed, and Imma have you, do the little math because I didn't do the other part, is the 2 it was filed in February on the February 2nd of 2024. So there goes the 2 twos again. There goes his 2 twos equaling that 4, that master number, where, like you said, if you're a master number, you're gonna have master number problems. That's what I always say about master numbers. Master numbers, yeah, they're great. You can obtain a lot. It's visionary. You're here to build, things in a master builder way, but you're also going to have master builder problems when they come along.
One of the things I say, Melinda, about the 22 specifically is the two follows you. So everything is double. And I'm going to give you the breakdown that I found this in. Okay. His accuser, Cassie, she's born 8/8, 1986.
Okay.
Okay, so she has two eights in her birthday. But if you just look at her birthday number, the 8, and then look at the year she was born in, she's born in the year of 6. That's two oppositions right there. Then we
Mhm.
have Kim Porter. She's I don't know if they were ever married. They say they were
I
married.
think they were married. I think
They
so.
were married.
I
Her
think so.
birthday is 12/15, 1970.
Mhm.
She's a 6 by birthday number. She's born in the year of the 8. Two oppositions against him.
And
And
not only that,
then,
she's a 8 life path too, Kim Porter.
yeah, woo, 8 life
Yeah.
path too.
Yes.
Wow. And Little Rod, one of the other ones, the musician that was working with him, he's born on 12/3, 1976. Now, when I looked for him, his life path is the number 2. So there's that number 2 again,
That
which is in
opposition.
opposition of that 9. So sometimes, you have the positive is great, it's wonderful, but a lot of times it can be like double dose of whatever it is.
Right. And I also, I'm so glad that you're mentioning that because what I want to do real quick now is since that 22 seems to keep popping up for him, I want to read the Chaldean breakdown of the compound number 22, which will give us even more insight on what's going on with Mr. Diddy. Okay.
While
Just give me
you're
a
while
second.
you're getting that, can I make one more note on that?
Yes. Please do, please.
When I talk about the supporters, when I looked up the supporters of Diddy, one supporter that we found out in the very beginning was TD Jakes, born in the year of the 22.
Not surprised. I am not surprised. Not surprised. And that's why I said in the beginning, this is a universal gift of understanding. It helps you navigate through the chaos that we call life. It really does. Um, I want to read the 22. This number is symbolized by a good man blinded by the folly of others with a knapsack on his back full of errors. In this picture, he appears to offer no defense against a ferocious tiger which is attacking him. It is a warning It is a warning number of illusion and delusion. A good person who lives in a fool's paradise, a dreamer of dreams who awakens only when surrounded by danger. It is also a number of false judgment owing to the influence of others. As a number in connection with future events, its warning and meaning should be carefully noted. So that breakdown alone, it really speaks to everything that he's going through, and that's his number. That's his number.
It really does. That's interesting that you say that because when I think about the beginning part of that definition, when you said it's like the person is not aware, act as they're aware, but they act as if they're not aware. And I feel like a part of him was like that. You know, he was in all of this stuff, but it seemed as if he maybe felt like he was untouchable, or
Yes.
he felt like it would never end. And the thing I want to bring up about the number eight, to me, one of the big things that one of the big descriptions for the number eight is that it's a number of karma.
Yes. Number
And
of the number of fate. Yep.
fate or destiny, and it's
Mhm.
just, you can't make it up. It's like everything unfolded in the 8th year, and next year he's going into the 6th year, and technically we can kind of count this as the preview season because
Yes.
it's the end of September. So this is telling us what's going to happen over the next year, what we're going to deal with. So
Yep.
excellent for bringing up the description for the master number 22.
Yep. So, that and, I have some other information on his cases. So, his house got raided on March 25th. Um, and then that first case, like I said, that first case was filed. We talked about that 22. From that first case, guess how long it took him to release the response? He
How
did it
long?
on a 8 day. He did it on February 26th that year. That's when they released the statement of response. The allegation of Diddy sending agents to harass a 8-year-old daughter of the plaintiff was uncovered on that 8 day. So Diddy, harassed one of the witnesses that he was gonna threaten the witness's 8-year-old daughter. The daughter was 8, and it all happened on the 8th day. So that's it's like the, 8's is opposition, and that's that number of justice and fate and destiny. That 8 is kicking his butt this year. This 8 universal year, this 8 universal month. It's like it's punching him left and right now. Um, then the number 2 case that was filed was on a 2 day. That's an opposition to him on December December 2nd. Let me just look at his chart. I think December is one of his opposition times too. Yep. December is an opposition period. So it happened in the opposition month and it happened on the opposition day. Um, his response that he came back from that case was 4 days later on December 6th. Which 6 is his opposition to him. So that 4 and that 6, like, his opposition, the 8 with the justice and the fate are really coming back to haunt him. And some would say that, with Pluto going into Aquarius, that this is the perfect time for that kind of stuff to be being revealed. This is the era for it. It's the era of truth, transformations and revolution, all that. So the upheaval. So it's going to be, things getting some straightening, people getting straightened out. If you're doing wrong, you're doing bad, it's going to get uncovered. And it ain't even nothing that anybody's doing to you to uncover it or that you did. It's just this is the time that we're living through. So people, get your personal universal codes, get on your P's and Q's and operate on a higher level of your number. Operate on your higher vibration of your frequency and try to do the right thing. So let's even there's more with Diddy. So then with the Cassie case, we did that. The 4 days later with Cassie. And then let me see.
You revealed
What
something new to me, Melinda, too,
okay.
with what you just said. You
Mhm.
said that December is his opposition period. Well, Kim Porter and Lil Rod are born in the month of December.
December and his opposition period. Yep. So it's so much to uncover, Miss Kimberly, and it really is a lot because there's so much you can look at, and then you have to kind of make a conscious decision. Okay, which one am I going to point to? Because there's so many things that you could point to. So listen to this on Cassie's. So Cassie's got more than one case against him. So she's got 2 cases against him. That too, his opposition. So the second case that that she made against him was actually the 4th case filed against Diddy. So her second case was the 4th case filed against him. And it was a 22-page complaint.
What?
It was a 22-page complaint. Yes,
You
ma'am.
gotta be kidding.
Yes, ma'am. So let me, girl, this is about to really get deep real quick. So his son is also indicted and indicated in some of these allegations. His son.
Yes.
So the number 6 case is actually against him and his son, Christian Combs. Um, Christian King Combs. The son is 26 years old. This is his 8th. His birthday adds up to. I mean, his number adds up to an 8 right now. So he's 26 years old. It was a 31-page lawsuit for, um, and that came out, I think, on Christmas of 20 something. It was with Christmas of 2022. I'm not sure what that means because my notes look sloppy, so I won't go into that. But there goes that 22 again, right? And the 4, because you got the 31, that's the 4, and then you got the son being 26. And not only that, it was filed on 4/4/2024. Come on now. And it's ongoing. That case is ongoing. Not only that, Christian's number is so he's his numbers are the 1, the 4, and the 9. So him and his dad have the same first 2 numbers, but they're flipped. The order of them are flipped. So that tells me that he's a chip off the old block. They got the same numbers, really. They have the same. Actually, they have the same numbers. The son's born in the positive period of the 9. Diddy's born in the negative period of the 9. So it tells me they're like the same person, except the arrangement's a little different. They got a little bit of a different arrangement. But the son is in a 4 personal year right now. So he's caught up in his dad's stuff. So I wanted to that's what I have. So that's what I got as far as his cases and all that. But the numbers, the page numbers, the dates that they were released, the dates that they're given the statements to respond to them, they're all opposition numbers of that 6, that 4, which is kind of working, and it's his number, but it's almost working not in his favor. Um, but especially when it's in combination with the 8, it's going to bring usually fatalistic results. You know, and that's just the way it is.
Well, I wouldn't expect it to work in his favor if you're doing things that you're vibrating on um, the lower side of your numbers. So
Right.
that makes sense. I have just a few more things, but before we do that, I want to ask you, do you have an email? So maybe people may want to reach out to you because you're saying that it's important to know your important numbers and it's important to know more about yourself. How can someone reach you for a consultation? Is there an email or something that they can use to get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So people can email me at btv79@gmail.com. And then just put in a subject line numbers, and then I'll make sure that I don't miss it. So that's BEETV79@gmail.com.
I'm putting
And
it
I
on the
definitely,
banner.
and to those in the audience, please reach out to me. We really want to strive to make sure that the community is aware of the different things that happen with their numbers. Our mission is to illuminate those dual vibrations of the numeric forces that guide our lives through astro-numeric analysis. So we specialize in providing clients with their key ops, and their and their if numeralytic metrics that'll highlight your opportunistic times while providing balance through the times of opposition, which will help guide you to a more holistic approach to your life and enlighten you. So that's what our mission is. And we're happy to make sure people know what their personal universal code is. And if they're interested, we're happy to give them their opposition times as well and just help guide them through different areas of their lives wherever they deem necessary at the time.
Okay, and we have it right here for you. It
Okay.
is email BTV at btvbeetv79 at gmail.com. And can you tell us one more time what to put in the subject line?
Numbers.
Numbers, numbers. Okay. So thank you for that. I'm gonna leave that there for just. I'm gonna leave that there just for a moment so people can see it. And before we go, I'm just going to. I pulled up a few of the supporters because if when we listen to that lyric that I talked about earlier, the last part of the lyrics are, as long as we're here we may as well shine together. So to me, these are the people that are have been shining with him throughout this stage. And once again, this is nothing personal. I'm
Right.
excited about the numbers. I really
Me
could care
too.
less.
I get really amped up about it. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I
I wish
really
the
could
best for
care.
everybody. I wish the best for everybody. So I do, I wish the best for, even Puff. Hopefully he can find his own justice throughout this and really maybe he can learn some things about himself and change some things about himself.
I agree with that too. Yeah, I just want the best for everybody. So
Yes.
the supporters, the number one supporter that I picked out was because he's just right there in your face, Stevie J.
Oh,
Stevie
when's his
J,
birthday?
11/2, 1971.
Oh,
And that two is his opposition number.
it
Then
is.
we
But they're
have
both
on,
but they're both born in that negative period of the 9. So they have that in common.
oh,
They're both Scorpios.
yeah, because
Yeah.
they're just 2 days apart from each other.
Yeah, they're
You
so
know,
they're like even though they have that opposition and then another thing too, what I'll say, 2 is not actually in opposition to the 4. It's in opposition to the 9. 2 is actually not terrible for the 4, and that's why that makes sense that him and Stevie J vibe because they have individual frequencies that are interchangeable numbers. 2 and the 7 are the moon numbers, and the 1 and the 4 are the sun numbers. So those numbers are actually interchangeable with each other, and they do vibrate well together. But the power of the 9 against the 2 is why I gave Diddy the 2 as an opposition number to him because I think that 9 is so powerful that it would overpower the little old 2. Even though, and then the 2 and the 4, they're not exactly um, on that level, but they are interchangeable. So that's why I do attribute that to as one of Diddy's opposition numbers. But it's only in opposition to his 9. So when you look at it, him and Stevie J, it makes sense that they get along well because the 2 and the 4 are interchangeable sun and moon numbers. They're both Scorpios. They're both born in that negative period of the 9. So they probably have a lot of patterns that are similar to each other.
that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you
Mhm,
broke that part down. The
mhm.
next one I have is Jay-Z. I don't know if I should really count him, but he's been in the headlines a lot too since all this has been going on. He's born in that opposition month. He's born December the 4th. He's
Mm.
born on 1969. So that four brings them together, that 4-1 combination. But he's also in the opposition month. So,
So he's in opposition month, but he's also in the positive period of the 8. So that 8 is an also opposite. So it's the month and that positive period that are in opposition to Diddy. They do share that 4 and the 1. They're both 4s. So that makes sense. Plus, they're both, multi mogul millionaires in hip hop. So they probably have that type of camaraderie and kind of, a code of silence amongst, what the billionaire and millionaires do. I hear that Jay-Z may be next, so that may be why he's, taking his back because he wants people to maybe take his back his number gets called. So who knows? But yeah, I definitely think that it's because of that 4 that they probably that individual frequency is what kind of binds them.
and that four does make them reserved too. So they know how to hold on to a secret. And
Yes, very private,
Diddy, yeah, Diddy is a Scorpio. So that's a
very
secret
private.
inside.
So
Yeah.
doubly private.
And we already went over TD Jakes, but he's actually born on the 9th. So that
Mm.
vibrates with his 9. And as I said, he's born in the year of the 22. And I pulled up one more person because this person came up on one of the cases that I saw. And this is the old school Aaron Hall. You know, back in the day, we loved
Yes.
Aaron Hall.
I
I
love I
miss
love
you.
some R&B, some Aaron Hall, I did.
Yep. And he's born 8/10/1964. He's born in the year of the two, but he's born on the 10th. So that gives him the 1-4 combination. So as you can see, some of these people vibrate with him by the birthday number or
Right.
maybe opposition by the life path or the year, but it's kind of like a mix.
It's a mix, and the way that I look at that, Miss Kimberly, and, like, even, looking back at some of the, nifty names that I've named some things here through Numeralytics by 2, like your and your if and all that. Really, we're intricate sentient beings, right? We're intricate beings. We have very, several layers to our personalities, several layers to our being, to our mental, spiritual, and physical manifestation. And that's why it's important to know your numbers. So it's not just that personal universal code, but it's also that personal year factor. What's your up cycle? Like, what time are you in? It's all these different things that you want to really look at. And I think even through that demonstration that we just did, we see the intricacies of how these codes interact with each other, and how they can operate with each other depending on the vibration of how that person's operating on that frequency.
You
Mhm.
sure revealed a lot here with us today, Queen Bee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. And I would like for you all to know that this is not the last time Queen Bee will be joining us. She's going to be coming back with more case studies. And before we close out, I would like to give Queen Bee an opportunity to just give you some words of encouragement about the favorable and unfavorable numbers.
Yes. So I want everyone to know, as we like to call them here, your key ops. They can only be your key ops if you know about them. So, we're real big here on the Teller BTV cultural preservation. We like to educate and elevate and give awareness to our community and everyone that's involved. So that's really the key. That's the first part. That's the understanding what your key ops are, so now you can move forward through your life, kind of living your life on purpose, manifesting your life on purpose, transmuting energy on purpose, doing shadow work on purpose, recognizing when you're operating in a lower vibration so you can kind of do things to raise that. And I think, if we do that, that's going to really help people heal. Especially our community, give them the best blueprint that they can moving moving throughout their lives. We want to start them as young as possible. So I like to work with parents who are having newborns. If you're having a newborn, if you want to kind of get with me to kind of see what dates look like and names that would be favorable based on what date the baby might come, I'm happy to do stuff like that because I really want to give our community every opportunity possible for healing, for elevation, for activation of knowledge, use their critical thinking skills, make better decisions, and you can only do that when you have knowledge. You take that knowledge and you use the wisdom that you've gained through experience to bring about a better understanding of what you need to do moving forward, going through your life.
Thank you so much for your encouragement and your energy today, Queen Bee. I keep
Thank you so much,
almost
Miss
calling
Kimberly.
you.
I had a blast.
You're welcome. You're welcome.